Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention? Attention in the firehouse at this time. We are gathered to celebrate both a happy and a sad occasion. The retirement of Salem Lakes Fire and Rescue Chief Mike Slover after almost 20 years of service, of dedicated service to the town and to the county of Kenosha. Now, there are going to be times during this ceremony where I'm going to mention, we're going to ask you to stand. However, we want very much for everybody to be comfortable. So if you have trouble standing, if you have trouble staying standing, if you have trouble sitting, stay seated. You can applaud as loud and yell as loud as you want to. Be comfortable, and you can join in with the rest of us. So today, as we begin the ceremony, we are activating a box alarm. We're calling it a cold box. And a cold box means that the alarm has been activated, but the likelihood of a fire or an emergency does not exist, and that the outcome will probably be pretty good. The outcome of these years of service, we know, has been excellent, as will the outcome of this event today. So we are activating box 58-5800 in honor of the retirement of Chief Mike Slover. And at this time, Chief Slover, his family, and a number of his personnel will be led in by the Bristol Fire Department Honor Guard, the Kenosha County Memorial Team, and the Kenosha Area Pipes and Drums. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand. Present order. Order. At this time, I would ask you to direct your attention to our stars and stripes while we say the Pledge of Allegiance to our flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. It gives me great pleasure at this time to introduce Assistant Chief of Salem Lakes Fire and Rescue, Jim LaCar.
Thank you and good afternoon. This is a special day. This is a real special day, honoring Chief Mike Slover. At this time, I would like Rachel Petrowski to come forward and we will sing the national anthem.
First glitch of the day.
Ms. Petrowski cannot be with us today, but I think we, in her honor and because of her absenteeism, I think we should go ahead and continue with that, though. Let's sing the national anthem, if you would, please. Say, can you see light along the early light? Oh, so proudly we hailed as the twilight's last gleam, whose broad stars and bright stars rule the world's side. On the ramparts we watched, so gallantly stream, and the rockets red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave? Oh, the land of the free and the home of the brave. Thank you. You may be seated. At this time, we'll do the invocation. The firefighters pray to St. Florian. Almighty God, protector of all mankind, your strength, power, and wisdom are a beacon of light to all personnel. Give special guidance to firemen, firefighters, and all emergency responders so that they may be protected from harm while performing their duty. Help us with your loving care while we work to save lives, property of all people, young and old. Give us the courage, the alertness to protect all neighbors and all others whom we pledge to aid when involved in fire or accident. Amen. Welcome, distinguished guests, members of the Salem Lakes Fire Department, and the family of Chief Mike Slover. Welcome. At this time, I will present the microphone to Chief Bill Beecham of the Winthrop Harbor Fire Department. Chief Bill.
They tell me that you can't hear back there. Can you hear back there now? Yeah. Figures, right? Those of you that know me? Okay. We're good. So I've got a few words to say, but not many, because we have a lot of people that we truthfully want to hear from tonight and a lot of gifts. But I've known Chief Slover since he came here. He's been here almost 20 years. And there's a lot of things that we normally say when someone is retiring. There's key words, key sentences and that, and I'd like to throw all those out. Now in the military, and I was not in the military, but many of you here were, you know what 4F means. And that's a bad term. However, when I think of Mike, 4F is what I think of, and it is extremely positive, and let me tell you what those 4Fs stand for. Man came in here with the task of providing protection for the community, merging 5 agencies, making hard decisions, explaining hard plans, dealing with people that maybe didn't want to see it, but did this wonderful job of explaining to most people why these things were necessary. The 4 F's, in my mind, when a chief comes in with tasks like this are, first of all, F is for foundation. Embracing the foundation. That means embracing what is here now. Who is here now? Who is serving now? Who has served? The interests of those people, the knowledge that they can give you, and the understanding that they will need have explained to them why changes are necessary and the history behind them. And Chief Slover definitely did that. One of the first meetings when he had everybody in at the Old Salem Fire Station, dispatch, all surrounding departments, Illinois was invited to talk about the merger, and a question was asked and he says, we are going to go in baby steps. I owe it to the community and to my folks to do that. And the baby steps, well, turned into a huge baby, I guess. It turned into a great project. The second F is for formulate a plan. And that is exactly what he did with a lot of help. He coordinated a plan looking, and it took a long time because there were a lot of things to be considered. There were folks, of course, as always, that thought, well, he's not listening to us, and I know Mike Slover, and Mike was listening. And that's why it took the time that it did to make sure all the important stuff was included and all the other stuff was explained. Focus, continuing focus on a plan that sometimes would have been very, very frustrating. Mike never lost the focus. He never lost looking at the goal, and the goal still hasn't been reached because there is a lot more to come, and the planning was always a part of what Mike did. And the final thing, which I think is the most important F in the fire service right now, is follow through. A lot of us can talk, a lot of us can plan, a lot of us can dream, but if we don't follow through and we don't demonstrate how we follow through, nothing gets done, nothing is meaningful to any of us. Mike Slover followed through. All you need to do is look around you to see that. So basically, other than that, the other thing that I wanted to say is speaking on behalf of the Quad 1 North Chiefs in Illinois, Beach Park, Newport, Zion and Winthrop Harbor. We thank you for coming to assist us and sending your folks to assist us when we needed it, sometimes for very long spells of time. Thank you for letting us come to help you. And one of the times I enjoyed most was, Mike, we were called to a fire in Kenosha. And as is quite often happens, the two chiefs, neither one of us were really needed. So we spent 2.5 hours in my car having a town hall discussion, and I learned an awful lot, not only about Mike, but about the fire service. So thanks, Chief, very much. There's a lot of the people we want to hear from. That's my 2 cents, as it were, and congratulations. So at this time, I would like to introduce the Village of Salem Lakes President, Diann Tesar.
I wanted to make it short, so anyway, I'm just happy to see everybody here tonight. I see past and present members of the fire department and rescue squad, and it's an honor that all the family came. So we have your wife and daughter? 3 daughters? Oh, how sweet. And then the grandkids, how nice. Very nice that you all came, and you too. I remember I was part of the committee that hired I just didn't hire, but part of the committee that hired Mike. It was a long process, if you remember. We met at a restaurant, we interviewed you, we went through it and all that, and you came, and he shined. He shined so much brighter than most of the candidates that came through. So we're very happy with our pick. 20 years later, we're sorry to see you go. You've done so much. I know we've butted heads. I think that just goes with the ground. You know, it's what happens. But all in all, one thing I can say about Mike, well, there's many, but one thing I can say for sure is no matter what, he always pushed for what was right for the village. Always. I've been known to be on the cheap side, and Mike would convince me, but and it wasn't a push or anything like that. It was always what we needed, and you informed us, you educated us, and we got what we needed for the village, and look at us here. It's great. It's great. We're a great community. We got great people. I'm glad for the very large turnout tonight. I'm sure you're honored, and we're going to be sad to see you go. But we understand, and we wish you all the best. And from the village board and myself, thank you for all your service. and have a great retirement.
Next up, we'd like to call up the chairman of the town of Brighton, Susan Crane.
To choose a profession that helps people is admirable. To pick a job in public service, once again, very admirable. But to have your entire career helping people and serving people, that truly is even more rare, isn't it? A job every day where you chose to put others in front of your own lives, perhaps even risking your own life. As a chief, you not only worried about the communities you served, you also dedicated yourself to the men and women that you taught, that you helped, and that you cared for. You didn't burn out because of long hours, missed holidays, or other challenges that happened with the job. In fact, I was told that it was often your voice that came through with information and updates. You always worked as the chief, and yet you always worked as part of a team. On behalf of the town of Brighton, I would like to thank you for keeping us safe, for helping us in our times of need, and for being a sterling example of what we all should follow. My words really aren't enough, but they come from my heart, and I'd like to say thank you.
Next, we'd invite the president of the Village of Paddock Lake, Terry Burns, to come up to the mic, please.
I'm not expecting that, Mike. I want to say it's a true honor to speak before everyone this evening. Such a momentous occasion. Mike and I have known each other since I chose to run for public office some 15 some years ago. You kind of lose it after a while, and it's just another year. But when the assistant chief asked me to speak tonight, I was right in the midst of getting my COVID shot here, and I thought, this is an opportune time to ask me. It is a true honor to speak tonight in front of you. With Mike's retirement, we yet lose another individual in Kenosha County that remembers how rotary phones work, right? We have people that watch prescription drug commercials and go, I know that tune, I know that song, I grew up with it. So it's great to honor you tonight, sir. Recently, I was a recipient of Salem EMS, and I have to say that they were prompt, they were courteous, they were professional, and I thought, to demonstrate that in the field is a true testament to the man that's running the organization. And, I think that is a true testament to Mike's honor of his job as chief, and that I just have so much gratitude for that. Public officials and public employees, we We often are not always looked at well by some recipients, but we work as a team. And Chief Slover and myself, we've always worked as a team. He's always provided answers. He's always been prompt with answers, and he's always been a great person to talk to on government issues as it concerns the fire department. I have always taken the stance of the fire department and our concerns, and I think that's where the true bond came from. So, on behalf of the Village of Paddock Lake Board, staff, and certainly myself, all the residents in the village that have been a recipient of the services of Salem Lakes Fire and Salem Lakes EMS, we wish you a heart-held thank you. We wish you a great retirement, and I honor you, I respect you, and I am so sad to see you leave, but you are well-deserved of this retirement. And if you're moving to Florida, which I think you are, so if you want to get rid of your snow blower, you know my address. Just assuming, yeah, it's got to work though.
It's broke.
That doesn't. But thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we call upon Chief John Niederer from the Bristol Fire Department, who is our current sitting president of the Kenosha County Fire and Rescue Chiefs and Captains Association.
Chief Slover, I've been in denial for the last couple of months, thinking that this day would never come, but here we are. First, I would like to thank your wife, Mrs. Slover, and your daughters, Barbara, Melissa, and Veronica, and your families for providing us the opportunity to work with Chief while serving our communities for the past 19 years. We will be forever grateful for the time that we have spent together. Mrs. Slover, just an FYI, Chief, he expressed his interest in housework, those long overdue honey-do list items, recently in a couple conversations and breakfasts that we had, so he's ready for that. Also, Mrs. Slover, you may want to consider a staff meeting daily to make him feel at home for the first couple of weeks. But in all seriousness, thank you for your patience, thank you for your understanding, and most of all, we are truly grateful to have worked with your husband, your father, as his guidance over the past 19 years has made a huge difference in our communities, in our lives, and in the lives of those he served. Chief, it's no secret we had a lot of breakfast together. As you pointed out in a recent photo of me that you shared. And we have certainly moved a lot of things forward. It wasn't just the dinner table. In all honesty, Chief, I would not be here today without your personal and professional guidance over the last 5.5 years. I believe our partnership has cultivated seamless and professional service with our departments. Today, we mark the end of your time in the fire service. However, you will live on through all of us daily. I know I will always remember our many discussions, our headaches, our laughs, and most of all, our friendship. In our time together, we responded to nearly 150 calls to each other's communities. We made some errors. We learned a lot, and most of all, we brought our men and women home safely every night. My most fond memory of you occurred just recently at the Brewers game, Miller Park. No matter what they try to call it, it's Miller Park. I'm not falling for that. We shared many memories that evening as we watched the Brewers pitcher take a no-hitter of the 6th inning. In the end, the Brewers won the game with some exciting moments in the bottom of the 7th and the 8th innings. I will remember the game, and maybe the pitcher's name for the next couple of years, but I always cherish the conversations we had that night. You reminded me that we're all human. We have things that make us who we have. We have things that make us who we are and have experiences that shape our lives every day. You've certainly shaped the lives of many people throughout your career in the fire service, Chief, including mine. In your time in the fire service, you reached out and held the hand of the injured. You provided comfort to the ill. You broke down and cried with families that lost everything. You built up a staff member when needed. You provided personal guidance to a young firefighter. And most importantly, your decisions have saved countless lives and property throughout your 44 years of service. In addition to those decisions, the education you provided to the public prevented a countless number of fires, injuries, and deaths over the years. Chief, you have laid the foundation for us to build on, and I promise you that we will continue to make you proud as we serve our communities. Lastly, Chief, my friend Mike, I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for your dedicated service to the greatest profession in the world, your professional guidance over the years, and your friendship. My phone will always be on, and I'm sure that when I call you, you don't answer, I'm going to track you down. The coffee will always be warm. Our door will always be open. I will always have a seat on my fishing boat for you. You, my friend, have done your job well and are leaving the fire service far better than when you found it. Job well done, Chief. Take care, and thank you for your service, Chief, on behalf of myself, Marlene, our family, the village of Bristol, and the men and women of the Bristol Fire Department. Thank you, Chief.
I just got the evil eye from Chief Slover. I'm not sure what that was about, but I'm sure I'll find out later. Next, I'd like to invite Dr. Lancaster, Dr. Jessica Lancaster from the Kenosha County Emergency Medical Services System to come up and say a few words, please.
Obviously, I can't speak to a long history with Chief Slover, so instead let me comment on first impressions, maybe second impressions. Most of my prior EMS experience comes from third-party or private EMS systems, and so when I was job searching, of course, everyone had to put in their 2 cents about switching to a fire-based service. Most notably, I was only going to find the occasional EMS enthusiasts. Chiefs never like EMS, and they're always difficult to deal with. I know better than to believe in rumors, but some argue that they hold a kernel of truth. Fortunately, whoever was in charge of that kernel in the system lost it, and I couldn't be happier with the system I found myself in. Chief Slover was one of the first to welcome me. He has an obvious enthusiasm for EMS, and he has a lot of stories for a fresh audience who's heard none of them yet. Since I've arrived, I've seen him as a clear voice for progress, for improvement, for excellent patient care, and he obviously has a talent for connecting with people. That's not something that just I noticed, it's a common thread in when people comment about you and your time here. Your ability to bring various personalities and organizations together is something that everyone has mentioned to me. It's easy for us to stay stuck in habits, whether of patient care, in our relationships, or in the roles that we play as individuals or as organizations. The push and the passion to break out of the well-worn paths and the silos that we have, cross those divides, and connect us is one of the legacies you leave us as a system and a way to make our communities and our patients safer and provide better care for them. Many times I've heard you say, what's the right thing to do here? Whether it be for the patient, for the system, for your employees, or for the community. You've left paths and connections to follow that are more flexible and more collaborative, and you set a high bar as an example in character and in leadership. In the short time I've known you, I've definitely learned, both from story time and by example, that's a lot that will have a lasting impression on my future career, and I know you've influenced a lot of people in this room. From myself and on behalf of the Freighter South team, thank you for your knowledge, thank you for your care, and thank you for your service.
And for our last speaker, before we get into other parts of the ceremony, I'd like to introduce Wisconsin State Representative Samantha Kerkman.
In preparation for tonight, I probably shed a few tears sitting at my desk thinking about my friendship, my relationship with this wonderful chief. And so I had to write down some words so that I could keep it together. Otherwise, I would just be tearing up so much because when you told me you were retiring, I was so happy for you. But on the other hand, then I was realizing that I was losing the institutional knowledge that you have. And I was at your first retirement ceremony, which was a little easier, and there were a lot more jokes. And you were 5 years, and you were going, and you had made a great impact on the community. And now you've been here for 20 years, and we're a little bit more seasoned, a little bit more knowledge, and we don't let things get to you. So I am truly honored to be here tonight. This is a very special night for me to be here to send you off on your retirement. I look at this community here, they're here for you and what you've done. Many times people ask me a lot of question, and I look to people that have knowledge on those questions, because as a legislator, we have to know a little bit about a lot of different things. And so I didn't go to school for fire service or public safety. I went to school for political science. So when the issues come before the legislature that deal with public safety, I turn to those people that I know and I trust. And there are several that I have trusted over the years. But when it comes to the fire service, I always pick up the phone and call you. And I know that it works the reverse. When you see an issue, you know how to pick up the phone and call me, and it's that mutual respect. And I know that you are going to leave a legacy here, because the impact that you have is determined by the legacy you leave. And I know that the legacy you leave is represented in the men and women who are sitting here. They're sitting in this building. They're sitting by the education or the equipment behind us. And I realize that even though you're not going to be here for me to pick up that phone and call you, or for you to call me, that you have left people here who can carry on your legacy and carry it on for not just Salem Lakes, but for the entire community. Because as you've heard from Chief Niederer, all the chiefs in the community, and just as a sidebar, going back to how things were before you got here, we had many capable chiefs, and they did communicate. But when you stepped in and you came, you added that layer of bringing in something from like an outsider's perspective, and you brought in something different. And change is hard. Change is very, very hard. But you did it in a way that brought together so many different people, and you brought together the Kenosha County community and the Salem Lakes community as we have it today. So I hope that you enjoy your time in retirement, and maybe sometime I'll get to come and visit you. I want to say to your wife and to your children, thank you for giving him us. I know how difficult that could be, and I look at the legacy you have there beside you, and I don't know if you have any future firefighters in the family, but I don't know where that legacy is going. So on behalf of the state of Wisconsin, I have a plaque for you, and I will read it here. Whereas David Mike Slover will retire on June 12th of 2021 after nearly 20 years of service as the fire chief of the town of Salem and now the village of Salem Lakes Fire and Rescue. And whereas Chief Slover has effectively led the Salem Fire Department through the transition from the town of Salem Fire Department to incorporating the Trevor, Wilmot, Silver Lake Fire Departments, as well as Salem Rescue. And whereas Chief Slover has led the department that has also served Paddock Lake and parts of the town of Brighton. And whereas Chief Slover initially managed an all-volunteer staff when he started in the position and then managed the transition into a full-time firefighters. And whereas Chief Slover has made it a priority to seek out education and training opportunities for the department's firefighters and for himself. And whereas Chief Slover has spent many hours volunteering at the department and community events to ensure the department and the Salem Lakes community is better placed for all. And whereas Chief Slover retired from the department in 2005, but was persuaded to return as chief to continue to serve the community. And whereas Chief Slover has made a profound impact on the Salem Lakes community and will leave a legacy that's immeasurable. And whereas Chief Slover has a strong commitment to his family and now will be able to spend more time with his wife Josephine and his daughters Barbara, Melissa, Veronica, and his grandchildren Melissa, Brody, Jackson, Shelby, Caitlin, and Mallory. And now be hereby resolved that State Senator Van Wangard, on behalf of the Wisconsin State Senate, and State Representative Samantha Kerkman, on behalf of the Wisconsin State Assembly, do congratulate Chief Slover for his many years of outstanding service to the community and congratulate him on his retirement and wish him many relaxing years ahead. Signed, Senator Van Wangard and State Representative Samantha Kerkman. Thank you so much, Chief.